All right. Hey, coaches, welcome back to the Championship Vision podcast, episode 336 of our podcast. And we have a great coach here, the head boys basketball coach at Pace Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. I gave his bio earlier, but Coach Sharman White. Sharman, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. This is great. I'm excited about this clinic coming up and looking forward to talking about it a little bit.
Absolutely. I think it takes me about probably 30 minutes to go over your bio. So I want you to share. Matter of fact, I had a little meeting today with some coaches and they were going, man, you got Sharman White on. I said, Sharman's great. Sharman, it connects with so many people. I says, and I think it's important, right, coach, for coaches to reach out to you or any other coach. Nobody is, everybody's available for information, right? Or to share.
Absolutely. I mean, I think coaching is basically just exchanging information. I don't think it's a lot of new stuff up under the sun. I think people, they tweak things and they add little things here and there. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're all exchanging information, man.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, talk about your background, coach. We all know that you got, you won 10 times, Georgia High School State Association championships. But talk about how you got into the game, how you grew up with the game, and then how you kind of created that love for coaching.
And you know something, I mean, I think I was coaching kids when I was like 9 or 10 years old, man. I was out in the neighborhood trying to show kids how to do stuff, not even really knowing how to do them as well as I could myself. And just something that stuck with me, man. The basketball thing, it went okay. It wasn't great or anything like that. I can't sit here and say I was, some type of All-American and all that, but I really loved the game and I wanted to stay connected to it. So when I graduated from college, I knew I wanted to stay, connected to the game, and coaching was the way I wanted to do it because I was an education major. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me to give back to the game that had made me, brought me so much joy as a kid. And so I, did that, got out of college and came to Atlanta Public Schools and started coaching middle school. I was assistant coach at a Bunch Middle School in Atlanta, Georgia. And I didn't know anything really about what I was doing. I just know I wanted to do it. And I learned from a really, really great coach that, he's deceased now, but he taught me a lot of stuff in just 1 year, Marshall Brown. And so after the first year, I remember him coming back to me after the first season ended, and he came to me, he said, "Hey, you ready to take it over?" And I looked like basically like totally in shock because I was like, whoa. I'm thinking I'm getting ready to learn year after year after year, and then maybe my turn to come. I wasn't in no way, shape, or form thinking that he would offer me the head middle school coaching job at the school. And so he did. I did it for 6 years, had a lot of success, and then got a call to be a head coach. Ended up going to be a head coach at Carver High School in Atlanta, which had fallen on hard times. They had won 3 games the year before I got there, and it was just not a great thing as far as basketball went there. And, lo and behold, my first year there, we won 11 games, which was 8 more than they had won before. But the key thing is we were 2 games away from winning the state championship. And that kind of let people know that I was pretty decent at what I was doing. And, I spent 2 more years there, and we ended up losing the state championship game my last year there, which was 2001, I'm sorry. And then I got the call from Miller Grove, and Miller Grove was opening up a brand new school. And so I thought it'd be a great opportunity. I had offers from Gwinnett, other schools in different systems, but I thought this was the best one because it was brand new. And so I went to Miller Grove and, started that program from scratch, whereas in Carver, I inherited a program. This one, I got a chance to start it from scratch and kind of build it the way I wanted to build it. And, we had some, good kids, and we got a kid by the name of Mufon Udofia, who was probably one of the top players in the county that was slated to go to Miller Grove. And, he was talking to different schools, Marist, and I can remember his mom telling me, but she just was real adamant about him staying in the neighborhood and raising up, the brand new school, Miller Grove. And so he was the first, really superstar that I ever got a chance to coach there, and it kind of took off from there. And the next thing you know, you got McDonald All-Americans, Tony Parker, and Altery Gilbert, and before you know it, you win 6 straight state championships and 7 out of 8, and the rest is history.
Right, and of course you continued on. I mean, obviously you went to Georgia State, did a great job out there as an assistant coach, and came back to Pace Academy. I know everybody's asked you about this. Why did you come back to the high school ranks from Georgia State?
Well, after I left Miller Grove and took the opportunity, I had a couple opportunities at college while I was at Miller Grove, but I just didn't think that the timing was right. And then with Georgia State, it was just so right because I didn't have to move. I didn't have to relocate. My kids still went to the same school. I didn't have to move. I didn't have to, go buy another house, sell a house. It was just right. And then the work for Ron Hunter was great. And so it was great for 2 years. I mean, I got a chance to experience a lot. We went to the NCAA tournament. I signed a lot of kids. But I still had that emptiness because college is a business. And I'll tell people that all the time. It's a business, and it's not as pure as it is in high school, or at least at that time. And so, I just had a yearning to get back to it. And then I had little kids, and I missed all my son's basketball games for 2 years. I missed my daughter's cheerleader competitions for 2 years. And so it was like, I think I value those things a lot. And so I wanted to make sure I was there. I didn't want to look up one day and they were 17, 18 years old. And I'm wondering what happened to the time. Right. And so I reached out, and I thought it was a great fit. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity for my kids to go to school there and get that education. And so that's how I ended back up at Pace, and haven't looked back since. And, I won't say that I never, ever entertain a college offer again, but I know for a fact it's got to be something that is a good fit and a good match, because I've always been told that you got to hit yourself to the right wagon when you're talking about college coaching.
Yeah, absolutely on that. Let's talk about your season last year. You played one of my former schools, Walnut Grove, and I know they were the #1 seed, but you came down to Walnut Grove to play, and I know you guys handled them pretty good. But talk about your season last year.
Yeah, actually, man, this team was amazing. One of the more intriguing teams I've ever coached, because we took a blow early on. We lost one of our best players to OT, Bryson Tiller, and he was like the #1 2025 kid in the state at the time. And it was kind of like a gut punch, but I can say this, we rallied behind it, and our kids really, really rallied behind it. And, we started off the season. We had a couple good wins, but we had some tough losses as well. But I can remember, around about midway through the season, about when we got to about the beginning of January, I could see these guys had it in them to, make a run. And, I've been, just having the experience of having teams that win the state championship and go from the beginning to the end, and knowing what that process looks like and what that journey looks like. I just kept telling them, I said, guys, we're good enough, and they believed it, and they continually got better. And, we were not the #1 team at no point during the season. We were always #2 to McDonough, and that was fine. But, we ended up losing the region tournament championship to Lovett, which was our rival, which we hadn't lost to them since 2019 or 2018, I believe. And so it was tough, but it motivated our guys. And so we had to play 4 #1 seeds in a row after we played our first home game in the state playoffs. And that first, #1 seed we faced was Walnut Grove, who was a really, really good team and had some really good pieces. But our guys were pretty locked in, and, just having that pedigree of knowing what it's like to get there and being able to, have that to lean on, and not only with myself, but them as well, because we had just won it, in 20 and 21, and we still had a couple leftovers from that as far as guys with experience who have been a part of that. And so, it was a really, really great season. We had a tough schedule. We went to London, played 2 nationally ranked teams in Mater Dei and Christ the King, 2 historic programs. We also, played tough teams here. We played Milton. We played a couple other teams. I mean, so our schedule was really jam-packed with some really tough competition. But at the same time, our guys just kept fighting and kept fighting. And that's what I loved about them. That's what made them so much fun to coach. And it ended up being a state championship at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. You mentioned like you saw something like, and you have a lot of experience with state championship runs. I mean, help us out a little bit. What did you see in your team? Was it like a particular practice or something you saw that you thought that they can go for it?
Well, it was the ownership that they took in the team. They took ownership of the team. Usually, you as coaches, we're the police, and when they start policing themselves, it kind of makes it a different ball game. And so they were doing that because they really wanted to prove that they could win it, even despite of losing Bryson and people counting us out and didn't think we were good enough. They rallied behind that. So once you start seeing them, get on each other about, if we always say in our program, we always say early is on time. And so when we say we start practice at 5, that really means we start at 4:45. And so when you see guys trickling in at 4:50 and guys are being very, very demonstrative and adamant about why are you late, that tells you, what, and then when guys make mistakes in practice and guys are trying to show them how to, what's the correct way of doing it, but also, getting on to them about if they didn't do it after they've been shown how to do it, that's just, it makes our job as coaches. We can focus in on other things like, the team we're preparing and what have you. So when you see that, you got a chance to do something special because those guys are really locked in and they're fighting for something. And we had a good senior group that, again, had been a part of state championships in the past that made it, that much less challenging for us.
Yeah, and that's a credit to you. You have a player-led team on that. That's our goal for all of us. But that's a credit to the culture you have built there at Pace. Hey, before you go into your topic for the clinic, talk about the clinic. Talk about clinics in general. I feel like the high school coach is so valuable for information because they're dealing with players like high school kids. Talk about the value of high school coaches. We have some great coaches here in Georgia. Are we getting enough value and information and resources from great coaches we have here?
I don't think so. I think we got some of the best coaches, bar none, across the entire country. And I do think, it's a lot of coaches that got a lot to give. And I think, personally for me, I'm a sponge to anyone that has information that I feel like I can use to make me a better coach. I mean, when I go to clinics, I got my pen and paper out too. Even if I'm going to speak, I got my pen and paper too, because more than likely I'm down there to take notes and what have you, to try to get better. You might catch one thing that could change something that you do and make a world of difference in your coaching. And that's how you just get better as a coach. You just continue to add to your toolbox because you just never know. I still got notes when I was going to clinics back, when I was coaching middle school. I went to Tubby Smith's clinic at University of Kentucky. I still have notes from that because you just never know. And I go back to those things, at the beginning of the season, just to try to, say, hey, let me go back and see if I can find something. It's always a treat to be able to do that. But you only can do that if you're going and you're actually trying to seek out how to get better as a coach. And as I say, you always want to keep your blades sharp. Dull blades lose battles. And I'll say that time and time again. So I want to stay on top of it. Now we're in a world of analytics. We're in a world of, in crazy film and, things of that nature. And I think being able to, evolve with those kind of things helps you become, or even, maintain your status as a good coach.
And coach, add to that a little bit, because I think the value of going to a clinic is meeting other coaches. I think nowadays you can get information. I can get a Sharman White video on championship productions, no problem. But I would rather go and ask him questions personally, right? I mean, that's important, right? When you go to a clinic.
Yeah, I think it's the sign of the times. But like, I got so much on when I went to clinics and actually got a chance to meet a coach and ask them a question, and they actually give me their information for me to reach out to them. And
Right.
I mean, I know that now everything is a super information highway, and you just jump on and tap a button, but there's nothing like the fellowship and the camaraderie that you can get from, being in person and seeing it live and seeing what goes into some of the things that you think about as a coach. And, I've, I've just seen how this thing has changed a lot. And that's why when I'm asked to speak at a clinic, I'm all for it, because I know what that means and what that is, because I came up under that. I came up under going to clinics and, sitting in that first row and trying to, write down every note I could. And as a young coach, trying to put in everything I saw, which is, I tell coaches all the time, you go to collect information, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to use every single ounce of it. But you get the information because at some point you might be able to use parts of it in different instances. And so you just got to, put that pen to the paper and just say, look, I'm going to take as much as I can from it.
Yeah, just like you said, you said adding to your toolbox, but adding to your library, where maybe one day you go back to, oh man, I really like that drill that Coach White had and presented at the clinic. Talk about your topic for the clinic, Coach. I'm really interested because you mentioned 3-on-3, 4-on-4 competitive drills, and please share why you're speaking on that and what you're going to be talking about.
Well, I think the game is at a point where, you're trying to teach the game and get guys to learn how to play the game and not necessarily teach them plays. And I think that's the most important part, because the game is such, it's a lot more freedom in the game now. It's a lot more, individual talent and what have you. And so I can tell you this, I think 3-on-3 is probably one of the best methods to teach guys how to play the game, because of the spacing you have and, the ability, with just 3 guys on the floor. Now, of course, you play the game with 2 other guys, but just knowing how to space yourself on the floor, knowing where to be and how to, be able to read and react, based on that small number, it gives you a better idea and better, set of lenses to see the game out of. I'll use this example. My son, he's 11, and, he's been playing 3-on-3 for the last. And I could put him with a trainer and I could train him myself. I can do all this stuff. But the best investment I've ever made for him in basketball is allowing him to play that 3-on-3 fall league that he's been playing for the last 3 or 4 years. Because him learning how to play, learning how to backdoor, learning how to, play the game with 2 other guys instead of, because sometimes, at that level, you got 5 guys on the court, you might not touch the ball maybe one time the whole game if it's, it depends on what position they play, so it's been great. And I like to use that, and I use it in my practices because I believe in parts to the whole. So I can break down an offensive set to just where it's just 3 guys, demonstrating that intricate part of the set. And now we got our defense trying to guard that, but it also helps our offense try to execute what it is we're trying to execute. And so whether we're doing Spain, pick and rolls, or whether we're doing, ball screen continuity, whatever we're doing, it gives us an opportunity to execute it with just that minimal number on the floor. And then also, like I say, defensively, it gives you an opportunity also to be able to guard certain things with just those 3 guys that are involved. I think 3-on-3, 4-on-4 is, again, I don't really do a lot of 5-on-5 in my practice. You come to my practice, it's not a lot of 5-on-5. It's more 3-on-3, 4-on-4, where we're breaking down parts to where we want to do. There is some 5-on-5, but if people thought that, or if people think that we do a lot of 5-on-5 and a lot of up and down and we just don't do it. I mean, we do a lot of breaking it down and trying to make sure our guys understand it, because that's how they learn how to play. Once they understand how to play. If they don't understand how to play, they won't really know how to play.
And Coach, is the reason why the guys for defensively, they got to cover more space. Offensively, they're getting more touches, correct? And I think for you, don't you think like with your son, the kids are getting more touches, which I think every youth program should have that.
Absolutely. That's the whole deal. I mean, I think, everybody touches the ball in 3-on-3. It's not somebody that's just going to not touch the ball in 3-on-3. They almost have to touch the ball in 3-on-3 to be effective at it. And so, again, like I said, these are things that make us or make me really believe in it. And even with USA basketball, we do a lot of 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. We really spend a lot of time doing that. And because I'm the head coach and because that's something I believe in, it just makes it a little bit more easier to even do as, more of it. And, when you're dealing with a lot of numbers, let's say because we're having a training camp, we might have 30 kids in a training camp trying to make a team. You break those up into, teams of 3 and you got 2 or 3 goals going, with 3-on-3 stuff. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going there and a lot of guys getting reps and a lot of guys getting touches. And now you're able to actually evaluate guys. Can they play in that setting? Because if they can play in that setting, I feel comfortable with them being able to play in a 5-on-5 setting.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a sample, coach, of, maybe a drill you're going to teach at the clinic. And I'm assuming your drills are offense, defense, both together, right? Or what I'm saying? I'm sure that your top coaches nowadays, I mean, they always have an offensive, defensive emphasis, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the offensive side of it, we're going to break down on one of our offensive sets. We run a UCLA cut ball screen quite a bit. And so, we'll have 3 guys. We'll have a guy at the top, then we'll have a guy on the elbow, a big, and then we'll have a guy on the wing, all on the same side. And then we'll swing it over to that wing, and the guy at the top will do a UCLA cut off the guy at the elbow. And then the guy at the elbow will go right into a ball screen to the guy on the wing. Well, what that does is, offensively, you've heard me describe what we're doing. But those actions you got to be able to guard, defensively. You got to be able to guard a UCLA cut. Then you got to figure out what your ball screen coverage is, so when that ball screen comes. So, you can teach a lot, especially with the UCLA cut. You want to keep the guy to stay between him and the ball, his man and the ball, or, with the ball screen coverage. Do you want to trap it? Do you want to go up underneath? Do you want to go switch it? No, it's just a lot to think about. And then the guy that, is guarding the guy with the UCLA cut, when he clears to the opposite side, he's got to be in help. He can't be chasing that guy to the other side of the floor. So, even in our practices, we have, we got a coach, we got coaches, assistant coaches, they're coaching, some are coaching offense, some are coaching defense in that drill because we want to get better on both sides. So we want to be able to kind of split it down the middle where, the offense is going to get, some great opportunities and great advantages and great scores. And then we also want some defensive things where our defense makes plays and they kind of communicate to each other and figure out what it is we're going to do to stop them.
Yeah, and how do you give us like a rotation of your drills? What I love about 3-on-3 is like, when I always believe the transition part, even in half court, where if I get a steal or a turnover, boy, I'm kicking it back out to the offense. The next group comes on. Kids are learning how to transition offense, defense, defense, offense. That's important in your drills, right?
Yeah, we go straight from the team that's on offense. They go straight to defense when we get a new group flowing in on offense. We always want the team that's on offense to go to defense so they can get a chance to play defense. And then, like I say, new group coming in on offense, they're fresh. You get different guys and we switch sides. We just do a lot of things and it's a lot of continuity to it because once kids learn it and they understand what you're doing, it makes for, now you can really get to the nuts and bolts of what you're trying to get accomplished with those things.
Yeah, Coach. Talk about your defense. I don't want. I know you don't want to talk about your defensive tape, which I absolutely love. But talk about a key part, like in a 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Talk about a key part of your defense that you can share with us a little bit that you really emphasize in your program.
Communication on ball screens is really, really big for us. We use the color code for our ball screens. We say, if we're going to white, you're going to switch. And if you're going to red, you're going to trap and things of that nature. I know I'm giving away my goods, but I really don't care because you don't know what we're doing. But, I think ball screen defense, and we make 3-on-3 drills where they're actually about ball screen defense. So I'll show that as well. And it's just like the whole purpose of my presentation within this clinic is to show both sides. It's not to just be an offensive clinic. So we'll spend some time talking defensively about some of the 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 things, because we do some 4-on-4 stuff where we run a motion offense, just a simple motion offense, but it involves so many actions that it allows our defense to be able to go out and try to execute stopping those actions, or at least being able to guard those actions and communicate through those actions, which is the most important part. So again, communication is huge. Guarding ball screens is huge because it's such a big part of our game. And you create versatility amongst your players defensively when you're able to do those things, because we're this team that I got coming up this year might be one of the most versatile teams I've ever had, because our big guys can guard guards, and our guards know how to guard big guys just because they get the reps of doing that in practice. And I think that's so important, because if you got the ability to be able to switch this day and age, and you can do it effectively, you can really, really put a monkey wrench in a lot of things teams want to do.
Coach, you think, for even like a coach myself, we don't have great players, but I have a lot of versatile girls that can go inside, outside. Like you mentioned, versatility is so important. Talk about that just really quick, about really developing. Maybe that starts at a youth age. If I have a big 6-foot girl, I want her to be able to step out in the perimeter, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it comes to where, what you do throughout practice, throughout your skill development, even in the off season, like those things, you build those things. Those are the bricks you can use to build with them. And I'll just go back to my son's 3-on-3 team that they're getting ready to start in another week or so. And, one of the things I just happened to draw the card to coach him. This would be my first time ever coaching my son. I wanted to wait till he got to high school. So I'm going to take the rim, the head on this one, but I'm going to teach them how to switch screens and how to be able to guard it and be able to, function in that, because, how many, he's 6th grade, but he's going to play up to a 7th grade. Like, how many 7th graders can react to somebody switching a ball screen or switching a screen and being able to act? So I'm just saying all that to say, I think you build that stuff from a foundational standpoint, and you try to make it a part of what you do in some form or fashion every single day. And if you do that, the more reps those kids get, the more chances that they get to learn how to be versatile. And you can see the versatility, and which is the most important part as a coach. If you can see the versatility, if you can see them being versatile enough, it gives you confidence to be able to say, all right, we can switch these screens. We can do a lot of little different things. And it just goes all hand in hand.
Coach, before you go, talk about your USA basketball experience, man. You coached some great players that have gone on to great success. Talk about the value of that and how that carries over to your coaching now, coaching these guys.
Yeah, man, USA basketball has been, just a great experience for me. Probably the best culture in basketball, the way they do things the right way. They do it at a high level. It's very, very professional. And so I'm just fortunate enough to be able to coach, some of the best players, bar none in the world. And, you see it throughout the draft picks. A lot of those guys, I've already coached them through USA basketball. But, one thing that, again, that just stands out, because we don't get to spend a lot of time with those kids, as, some of the other countries, they sometimes those countries, they play together for an entire year. And you're going to see that in the World Cup for the national team coming up in another couple of weeks. They're playing against countries that those guys play together a lot. And, we just kind of grab a team and say, all right, we're going to spend a few weeks together, and we're going to go out here and try to get this gold medal. And, that's, kind of the format pretty much with our junior national team. Same thing. We get to spend a couple of weeks with them in the training camp, and then we got to go out and try to get a gold medal. But the talent level is definitely higher. And what really happens, and we say this a lot with USA basketball, period, is, we have, let's just say we were starting the game. We got our 5, and we got the 5 for our opponent. And they could be, if you play the game between those two 5-man teams, it might be, 5-5. It could be 6-4. It could be anything. But what the difference is, our next 7, we're still pulling 5-star kids with our next 7, and most countries can't do anything with our depth. And so, like this past year, this past summer, I coached the U16 team that won the FIBA U16 Americas. I mean, best team I've ever had assembled as a coach at USA Basketball. I mean, the Boozer twins, AJ DeBonza, Tyron Stokes, Darren Peterson. It was just a truly, truly, truly talented team. But the thing about it is they understand the culture of USA Basketball. And so they're not caught up in their rankings, and they're not caught up in, did I score the most? They're all about the one thing that matters the most to them, and that's trying to win a gold medal. And so being able to be able to coach kids with that kind of culture that's sitting above them, and they honor and they respect, it just makes it, it just purifies the game that much more, because we always try to stress to them, like even in the national team, you look at those guys, they don't score the 35, 40 points, man. You might have a guy have 15, you might have a guy have 20, you might have another guy have 10, you might have, but they don't really care. They just want to win. And that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's important. I'm going to throw a couple of names at you. I love Jerry Colangelo, who I guess he got in the Hall of Fame, correct, this year. I mean, talk about him basically being the grandfather of really changing USA basketball, along with Don Showalter. Talk about those two guys, Coach.
I mean, they are like they're USA goats, as everybody say goat. Like they are, because Jerry Colangelo saw what happened when we fell a little bit from grace after the Dream Teams. And, he took it upon himself personally, to say, all right, we're going to rebuild this thing and we're going to do it right. And he had the right guy in Coach K that could get guys to want to, participate and want to be a part of and want to, redeem this, redeem the whole process. And then you take a guy like Coach Don Showalter, who started the junior national team, was part with the first junior national team, and started this whole process. And he's one of my, I love Coach Showalter as if he, like a father to me, and he's done a lot for me, and he's just helped me as a coach tremendously. But he, won 10 gold medals straight, and that's year after year after year. I mean, and he really set the bar for what our program as a junior national team and the culture that we have. He's I think he's the sole responsible person for it, for the most part, about that. And I was spending some time with him a couple weekends ago. We were in Florida together, and it's just being able to learn from guys like that and see how they operate. I tell people all the time, if you want to be great, go study great people. You can't be great if you're just studying yourself, or you're just studying, people. Those things make a big difference. And so when I'm with Showalter, it's like I'm a little kid at a candy store. I'm asking him all kind of stuff, and he's always giving me great stuff. And he sent me a little letter and a card the other day, just out of appreciation for our friendship. But he didn't have to do that, but that's just the kind of person he is.
Yeah, he's a first-class person. I mean, anytime I wanted to talk to him or try to get him on a podcast, he's always so willing to share. And that's where coaches have to realize, man, there's a lot of great resources out there. Coach, thank you for coming on the podcast. Man, we're so fired up about having you come out to Commerce, Georgia to our clinic, Coach, man. We're really excited about that. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you always continue to strive to do to get coaches better and make the game better. I think we got to continue to grow the game because, the players are definitely not losing in esteem and talent. And so we've got to be, as coaches, we got to be able to coach them.
Coach, thank you so much, man. I wish you the best. Hey, good luck in your 3-on-3 coaching debut.
Oh, my God.
Take care, Coach.
Take care.